Hello and welcome to week 7. This week we are focused on fluency. We have definitely come a long way from phonological awareness to decoding and word recognition. Last week we talked about orthography, spelling and writing, and here we are on fluency. Before we get going on that topic, I wanted to discuss upcoming assignments and assessments. So practicum session 4 should be happening this week. Again, the required assessments are the Words Their Way spelling inventory. Make sure you select the correct level for your student. There's the primary spelling indicator, the elementary level one, and then the upper level one as well. You will also need to give a structured writing assessment. That could be a dictated story, a prompted writing activity, which you can analyze holistically, analytically, or with a checklist. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, go to last week's lecture where I described each of those. And then the last piece you're going to want to give is the QRA 5 word list, so that way you can prepare your assessments for the QRA 5. The word list will give you an indication of where you should start assessing at, although it is highly recommended you start 2 grade levels below their current grade level so that they feel confident with the assessment. Again, see lecture from the last week for more info on all of these. Assignments due this week would be the assessment artifact and reflection number 4 for the spelling, orthography, and writing domain. Note that there is no video reflection this week, and that is because I figure you guys could administer a spelling test and a writing sample, which was mostly what was happening in your practicum session. And then we do have a new assignment, which is the participation activity, which you will be putting on the forum in Titanium. Again, note that these assignments are due Wednesday by midnight. You will have 7 days after an assignment due date to submit it. For partial credit on day 8, you will earn a 0. Let's talk about the participation activity. So you're going to visit the UNC website. There they have a tutorial on running records, so you're going to do that. Toward the end of that tutorial, there is a practice story titled Like You Were Mine. You're going to want to go through that, listen to the audio sample, and do the running record. Then compare your results to the results online. Give it a score using the NAEP Oral Reading Fluency Scale, which is on Titanium. Complete the miscue analysis tutorial, which is the second part. Then you're going to do a miscue analysis on the practice story Isabella font. Score that one using the NAEP rubric. Report your findings on the forum. And then let me show you. So basically, if you go to this website, which I will put on Titanium, here you have running records. You're going to go in and you're going to go through and learn about each piece of running records. And then here is where the practice story is. It gives you a blank running record form that you're going to want to use as you listen to the audio sample. And then afterwards you can compare it to the results that they have. You will do the same thing for miscue analysis. Miscue analysis is a way of analyzing, as it implies, the running record, looking for miscues, which in a way are errors, but they're not errors because they give you a glimpse of the cueing system that the student is using. So they actually give you more information than just saying, oh, they got that word wrong. So miscue analysis will show you how to look at the running record data critically to think about, are they using the graphophonic cueing system, the meaning cueing system, or the syntactic cueing system. So this will take you through all the pieces of the miscue analysis, and here again is the practice story that you listen to and use the form to code. So then once you have done that on the forum, you will report out your score for errors over running words. That's just the total of words read. Your score for error ratio, your score for accuracy rate, your score for self-correction rate, patterns, trends, and noticings for miscues. So thinking about what cueing system they are using when making the miscue. Your score using the NAEP rubric, and then how your scores compare to the site's results. Sorry about that typo. And lastly, the overall impressions of the experience. So those are all of the pieces you need to report out on the forum this week for both of those two sample stories, Like You Were Mine and Isabella Font. So on Titanium, I did include this resource from a former 516 course instructor, Julie Niles Peterson, but she kind of goes through and gives you more information. In addition, she tells you how to calculate the accuracy percentage, how to calculate the error ratio, all of those things that I would like you to report out in the discussion forum for this week. So that is the participation activity that will be happening this week in lieu of no video. I also wanted to give you a heads up for practicum session numbers 5 and 6. So I know a couple of you are needing to combine sessions, and that's fine. You might be able to combine session 5 and 6, but after these sessions, you should have a write-up for all of these assessments, as well as one video for one of your QRIs, either the narrative or the expository. So over the course of the next 2 sessions, you can choose to do 1 session or you can spread it out over 2. You need to give the QRI 5 for narrative, the QRI 5 for expository, 1 additional fluency assessment. So it could be a running record on any text, it could be a timed fluency assessment, it could be the multi-level academic skills inventory, which was in your core, which is basically a grade level passage that you are timing their performance on and then keeping track of their accuracy by putting a slash through each incorrectly read word. And that assessment, you actually have to give all 3 passages and then take the median score. And then you could also use the oral rating scales that I'm going to put up as well. So lots of choice there. Required are both of the QRI 5s because there can often be a discrepancy between a student's reading ability in narrative and expository, and your QRI 5 talks a lot about that in the introduction. That narrative, they have more familiarity with that story sequence and those elements of narrative text, whereas expository might be a little more difficult for them to read. So they might actually have a different independent level for narrative and expository, which is why you're going to need to give both of those and then 1 additional fluency assessment. Then last thing you need to cover in your final practicum sessions is some sort of closing activity where you're sharing information with the student, giving them feedback on something they could work on, even ideally providing them with maybe a game or a strategy or a tool that they can continue to use even beyond the extent of your sessions, and then some sort of recognition for the student. I know that they've been meeting with you additional hours out of school, so whether that be a certificate, a thank you card, a book, something like that, you should be wrapping up your session with a closing activity or resource that they can continue to use. Perhaps you make them a game or flashcards or something, and then also some sort of certificate recognition for the student. Once again, you will need to video your administration of the QRI, and the resource CD in the QRI is amazing. You can go through and listen to audio samples and score them as you're listening, and then in the forms section they give you how the expert score rated them. So Lots of good tools in there. I'm going to talk more about the QRI next week. This week I'm really just focusing on miscue analysis and the running record because that's the first part of the QRI. Once you do the word list and determine what level the student is at, and you activate the prior knowledge to make sure they have some familiarity with the content, then you're going to be doing the running record / miscue analysis. So that's what we're really talking about today. Okay, upcoming assignments, I just wanted to make you aware of the following things. You will need to get another parent permission form for your next student that you're going to be working with. There will be a spot for you to submit this on Titanium in week 8. And you need to have it posted by the end of week 10 when your first artifacts and reflection are due. Again, I'm not going to be watching any video or scoring any assessment reflections if you do not have the parent permission. That is a fieldwork requirement that you must have. So as soon as week 8, you can submit it, but it needs to be up by the end of week 10. The other assignment to keep on your radar is the assessment record and data analysis chart. You should be adding to that progressively each week now, whether it be on the blog or if you have it in a separate document. You don't have to continue updating it on the blog. That was just a recommendation, but I'm not officially checking that now. So you should be updating it weekly. And then after your last session with the student, you will need to go back and evaluate their entire reading profile. So what was the data you got for early literacy? What did you learn about them as far as decoding and word recognition goes? And then you're going to want to determine 2 to 4 strengths, 2 to 4 needs, and 2 to 4 specific interventions that would really propel them forward in their areas of greatest need. And I'll give you more information about this next week, but I just wanted to give you the heads up that this assignment is coming. Do not wait to put in all of those assessments. Continue to update this while the assessments and the results of the assessment are fresh in your mind. And then lastly, you have your evaluating assessment group presentations. I would start to contact your group now. You should have each other's emails, but that assignment will be due before you know it. And if you know your topic, which you do, you might want to start looking at your colleagues' wiki posts and looking at their impressions of the assessments given in order to help you synthesize that information for your presentation. All right, and as if you don't have enough to do, I have one last bonus assignment for you. This one's really important because it will directly impact the future of this course this semester and in future semesters as well. So I have just 10 questions on a feedback survey and would like to request that you please be as honest as possible because your feedback will be used not only to make changes for the remainder of our course, but also for planning Read 516 for spring. So it asks about your opinions on assignments, on the readings. I would really like to know which assignments, readings you felt you really benefited from, which ones were not so good, so that I can make sure to adjust the course accordingly. So I will leave that open on SurveyMonkey for 2 weeks to give you guys plenty of time to get that feedback in, but I would really appreciate your honest, open answers. And if you do disagree with something, please provide your comments so that I have some idea as to why you disagree, and if you have any ideas, those are also very welcome. All right, so I'm going to stop here and go into what is fluency on part 2 of this week's lectures.